your threads posts are likely flopping because the algorithm is playing a completely new game. And chances are you're still playing by last year's cheat codes, if you're even aware of them. What if I told you I had a $1 billion secret report on how the algorithm really works? You're posting on threads and you have no idea how it works. You're seeing others blow up, you're gaining thousands of followers overnight with posts that you think, why? How is that working? I'm Lennox, and I started on thread with 17 followers, and now I'm at 14.5K. I was able to get these insights by personally scraping and analyzing hundreds of recent viral posts on threads. Then I fed them into a custom prompt into Gemini, Google's AI, and I had it generate a 70-page deep dive algorithm report, so explosive that I half expect Zuck and Elon to send a chopper for me. I've not seen these anywhere else. And this is not just rehashed garbage that you would have seen on some other website. This is new stuff. It's fresh off the battlefield press info. Over the next 20, 25 minutes, I'll be handing to you 4 new mind-blowing algorithm insights from this billion-dollar report. These are the hidden levers that control who sees your stuff and who doesn't. And if you get these, I truly believe that you don't have to guess anymore, and you can actually start controlling your threads growth in 2025. We're about to reach June. We're almost halfway through the year, which is nuts. You'll know exactly where you are stuck. And if you can practice these steps, you can unstick yourself. So that being said, let's dive into the iterative engagement economy, which is this first insight that we've got up on the screen here. And we're going to be going through all 4 concepts today. The iterative engagement economy is what I'm referring to as it's beyond the post. So we're fostering sustained dialogue loops. What does that actually mean? This is Meta's new way of grading your value. It's no longer about just one individual post performance in isolation. So you put out a viral post, you get that dopamine hit and you feel good. And then a week later, feel like you've gone 1 step forwards and then 2 steps back. This concept, this new algo concept is not that. It's about, as I've said, iterative engagement economy, the entire conversation loop, a sustained back and forth. And it's about the depth of interaction over time between you and your audience. Why does this matter? Because it signals true influence and community. Community is a bit of a buzzword, but it's interesting to see that based on this report, it's embedded into the DNA of the platform itself, which is the algorithm. This benefits Zuck because it keeps users on the platform longer. If the algo is like helping or really prioritizing that depth of interaction between you and your audience, depth means a lot of time investment. It's beneficial for us to be aware of this. It's moving from creator as a broadcaster to a conversational architect. The data doesn't lie here. Content fostering deep loops sees 150% higher sustained engagement. This is from that report based on the best posts I've seen on threads over the last 3 months. When I say best posts, each one had an average of 2,500 likes, and they're long form posts. So these are the best of the best. Easy way to understand this is that one viral post is like a one-night stand, right? What this iterative engagement economy is talking about is sustained engagement. We're not just going on Tinder and having fun for a night. Maybe we're going on Hinge. Hell, maybe you meet someone at the club. Maybe you meet someone on Threads. Point being, it's long-term. And the algo recognizes that. This is what Zuck is thinking with this algorithm. Show me you can keep them coming back for more. You can build a community within your comments section. Here are 3 things you can do to implement this concept of the iterative engagement economy. Firstly, reply with open-ended questions. Don't just like a comment or say thanks, but follow up with an additional one. Another way, acknowledge and weave. Reference other comments within your replies. So imagine networking, introducing one of your mutual friends to another in a group chat. It's the same thing, but on threads. You've got this post and it's got a few extra replies, more than usual maybe. You've started to hit it off with someone in one thread of the reply. And then you've also done the same with another thread. Copy and paste one of those replies into the other thread. And you've just fostered a relationship between 2 mutual friends. It's that sort of thing that the algorithm is looking at, and it's saying, oh, this person's actually building community. And over time, that consistent kind of connection fostering is going to really pay off. Another thing is reply to a reply goldmine. So if you want a metric for like how deep you want to go with these replies, when you're looking at a post, someone replies to my post, right? And maybe I reply to them, they reply to me, I reply to them. It's that kind of layered approach where you're getting deep into a single reply that the algo is loving. And it's like a gold mine. Is that making sense so far? Few nods? Sweet. That's the first concept. The second one, narrative cohesion score. Now, what on earth does this mean? So this is really getting at like story sells, but structure, scales, crafting, connected content. What does that mean? It's an unofficial but very real metric reflecting how well your individual posts link together to form a coherent story or thought over a series. Now, the difference is between a disjointed random post and a series that builds upon itself, taking the reader on a journey. Think about YouTube and how people don't really have a channel anymore as much as they have a show. And there's a theme across that channel, right? You can think of it as a topic that they post about. Colin and Samir are YouTube creators. They publish the Colin and Samir show on their YouTube channel. And it's like a podcast. Sometimes they do deep dives on creators. And there's a consistent theme there. People can expect the series that builds upon itself. And it's the same thing that applies on threads. So why does this matter? Why does like this narrative cohesion score matter? Why should you be using it in terms of benefiting the algorithm and writing content on threads that performs better than what you have been writing? Firstly, on a psychological level, human brains are wired for story and resolution. We all know that. Also, this keeps people clicking and it signals higher value thinking to the algorithm. The key insight or metric here is threads with high narrative cohesion have 75% greater likelihood of algorithmic amplification, meaning good stories do well on threads. But series do really well. Think about your page as a Netflix series. What are you posting on a day-to-day basis? And what story is that creating over the entire series? Random Lego bricks, we're creating a complete structure that's building layers on top of itself. How do you implement this? This second concept about the algorithm that's working right now on threads. Create an outline of your thread first. That's what we want to do whenever we write a long form post on threads, one that has multiple posts within it. Let's say you create your outline and post it, then you come to another post in a few days' time, and it's another long form post. This is where the connective tissue comes into play. Explicitly link those posts together. So let's say you post about, like for me, so I went to law school, I studied like full-time for 6 years and I absolutely hated it. That could be the first part of a story post for me. Then a few days later, I come and post something on what I've done since quitting law school. And then what I could do at the bottom of that is say, hey, if you like this post, go and check out the one I did a few days ago, which was my backstory. And then in that post, I'll do the same for the one I just posted. This is not just building followers, but building community and a brand. The brand is this thing that takes on its own life form, whereas people just see followers and it only gets so far. Third way to implement this, promise and payoff. This is just content 101 of having a good hook. Now, example structure. This is in a long form post itself. So you've got your hook and promise in post 1, post 2 to 4, build and develop on that promise. And then the final post, deliver and close. That's the basics of a long form post on threads. The connective tissue in this second step of how to implement is doing multiple of these using this structure. And in this last part, linking them together. Content. And all in all, that is what this whole insight about narrative cohesion, before we move on to the third concept, which is my favorite. If someone was to come and look at your profile randomly would they understand what your story is? And the analogy is, if your content was a Netflix series, and if someone was to go and scroll through your latest content, would they keep watching the Netflix series that is your content? Third insight, priority input signals in 2025. This is getting at what Zuck really values. What are these priority input signals? They're the specific user actions Meta's algorithm weighs most heavily when deciding your content's fate. Likes and comments do matter, but the deeper signals scream high quality content to the algorithm. What are these signals? This took my understanding of the algorithm from 101 to 201. Saves, it's not that novel. Maybe you would have expected that one, but the next two are really interesting. Quickly on just saves. This is someone tearing out a page of your book to keep forever. You click that save button and it rocks up in that person's save post until they decide to remove it from the save post. Fine. What you can do to leverage this is create keeper content. And this is really frameworks and checklists. Those always get a lot of saves, especially a step-by-step process. One of my posts that comes to mind is how I gained 3,081 followers in 108 days using only 5 tools. I go through what those 5 tools are, and people save them so they can come back and refer to them later on. You might even want to explicitly say, save this post so you don't forget about these tools. It's evergreen content. It's stuff that isn't necessarily hot and trending right now, but it lasts for a while. That's the saves one, but the other two is really what interested me, and it's something that I've been thinking about a lot recently. Second one is dwell time. This is getting someone so engrossed in your post that they forget to make dinner. It's like your Netflix series. How can you create the Netflix series that is your content so that it's bingeable for the people who are consuming it? That's the concept of it. Dwell time, it's just time on your content. So let's say Jane is reading one of my long form posts. It's talking about my story from being absolutely depressed at law school and not imagining doing it for 40 years, to then doing this failed online tutoring business, and then seeing this Threads thing. A few years later, here we are. And they're really enjoying that story. Jane is dwelling on that post, spending a lot of time reading it. It's signaling to the algorithm that this is something valuable. Before you know it, Jane forgot to eat dinner and now she's starving. Hopefully she just goes and reads more of my posts. How do you actually optimize this and use it in your own content? Substantive posts, 150 to 300 words where appropriate. Use formatting, bullets, bolding for readability. Tell mini stories, use vivid examples to hold attention. Really, in a nutshell, how to optimize is write long form posts. These are posts or threads that have between 8 to 15 posts within one thread. That's the second thing that signals to the algorithm high quality content. The third thing, conversation velocity. Think of your post as a living debate that everyone joins. That's one of the most valuable things you can put out there on Threads. If it is a debate that lots of people join, then it's a goldmine, because people are commenting on other people's comments. They're getting into those threaded replies, getting really deep. And then it's like this massive web of conversation that's all pulled within your post. It explodes the visibility, and it's one of these very strong, high quality signals for the algorithm. Now, the data, like I used to be someone who didn't really like to put questions. Can we see this in action? Yes, Anastasia, we will do that after. Yeah, Sam, good point. Once I finish this insight, and before we move to the last one, I'll go into an example. If you wouldn't mind just having a look at my Threads profile and getting up maybe one of my recent posts. This is all to do with conversation velocity and how we can optimize this idea of creating a lively debate that everyone joins. It sounds obvious, but end the post with a compelling and specific question. The data doesn't lie. Posts that end with questions generate the most lively debate. Be hyper responsive in the first hour after posting. That first hour is like a mini test that the algorithm is doing on your content to determine whether it's worth distributing to more people. If it's not doing well within the first hour, it's telling the algo, oh, maybe this isn't going to be that valuable to that many people, so I might not distribute it as much. If it is, getting a lot of engagement in the first hour, it will distribute it even more. Then, this is something that most people should do more of, but most people will ignore. Use slightly provocative but respectful takes to ignite discussion. One of my recent posts did really well, had a provocative take. The first point was, networking events are circle jerks for lost people. It got a lot of attention and the post did really well and it ignited a lot of conversations. Obviously, if you believe that stuff, put it out there because it's a way to find your people much quicker. Content that is optimized for these signals isn't just surviving on the platform, it is actually thriving and being distributed significantly because this is what the algorithm looks at as value that wants to provide to more people on the platform. That being said, let's get up a quick example before we move into the fourth and final insight of the latest algo updates in 2025 as of May 28. Let me put this on the screen. Cool. Yaz, could you send through a couple of the other ones as well? Like the same ones. The post is, who's under 1,000 followers on Threads? The algo might not see you yet, but this community will. Drop a comment introducing yourself and what you do. I'll share my fave 5 with my audience tomorrow. Let's turn this into a discovery goldmine for everyone. How many comments did this one get? 95. So that's one example. I've posted this every week for the last 5 weeks, and this was the one that performed the worst. If we have another example coming up in a moment, I'll show you what that looks like.
This performed worse.
Oh, no, that's not the one I'm talking about. This is the follow-up post where I did a shout out for 5 people who commented beneath that post. Point being, you have to take my word for it. The one we looked at a moment ago, I posted it 5 times. This is the 5th time. The previous 4 all got around 300 likes and around 300 comments and about, I think, 10K views. And I think that's really showing you what sort of post can get the conversation going. Let's turn this into a discovery goldmine for everyone. It's creating value for everyone who wants to connect with other people who are just starting out on Threads or who are looking to find other people on a similar journey. This is a better example. Hopefully that example illustrates it better for you, Anastasia. And now going into the 4th and final algo insight, the carryover effect. A lot of people have questions about, and it's really answering the question, I've just had this post that's done really well. What do I do to capitalize on that? How do I ride the wave of that? Is there anything I can do? And if so, what is it? This is the phenomenon where strong initial engagement on the first few posts of your multi-part thread significantly boosts the visibility and algorithmic favor of subsequent posts. A strong start creates a ripple effect that carries your content forward. We'll see this domino effect in a moment. And then I'll also talk about how this applies to posts that you post after a viral post. Why does this matter? The algorithm is testing the waters with your initial segments. That first hour, it's testing what's good and what's not. Then good initial performance is going to mean like a wider audience for the later posts. Your first post is the primary hook for the entire narrative. And this comes back to that strong narrative cohesion score that we were talking about a few moments ago. All of this is to say that the strong initial segments create a compounding effect on visibility throughout your thread. If it's going well at the top, you will see a compound effect moving into the rest of the post. Now, putting away all of this fancy talk about algorithmic favor and high initial engagement and boosting visibility, good hooks. I'll say it every single time. Sam's nodding. If you've heard it before, don't just think, oh, there's another person saying it. It's true. If you don't invest a disproportionately large amount of time writing that first sentence in a long form post, none of the rest of your content really matters because no one's going to keep reading after that first post. Over-investing in the first 1 to 2 posts is going to absolutely revolutionize the way that you post content. Use number markers and set clear expectations. If you're saying, here are 11 lessons I learned about working in corporate, put a number next to the first lesson. Then in the next post, the second, the third, the fourth, and so on. Optimize post 1 for saves, dwell time, and conversations. Or the hook. This flywheel analogy is referring to this point here. Those first few heaves of the flywheel, which is your initial post, it takes the most effort. So you're pushing this massive wheel, and it's really hard to push it initially. But then once it starts spinning, gaining engagement, each subsequent push becomes easier. It's already got momentum. It's much easier to gain traction on the subsequent post. That's why it's like a domino effect. You've got a killer hook in that first post. You've got value, insight, the CTA. So let's have a look at an example of low carryover potential. One post that's not going to really do very well in terms of getting someone to take a look at the next one versus one that would get someone to carry over into the next post. The weak example is myth 1, making money online is easy. We all know it's not. And even if you don't believe that, it's not that interesting. But here's an alternative. This reads, you've been lied to about making money online. I'm interested. I'm engaged. I'm about to dismantle the 5 biggest myths that are keeping you broke. Myth number 1 alone costs creators thousands. That's the hook. The first post beneath that is the myth. You can imagine that's going to have a high carryover potential into the next post. Now, that's like the first question. The second question is, if I've got a post that's doing really well, and what do I do? Should I let it do its thing, or should I post afterwards? This carryover effect applies to different posts. This has all been to do with long form posts, right? Or threads, which has multiple posts within one thing that you publish at a time. What I'm about to talk about has to do with, you've just posted a thread. Should I post another thread or just a short form post afterwards to ride the wave of that? Short answer is yes. And see how this links to a concept we've discussed about the strong narrative cohesion score. If it is related to what this viral post is about, and your next follow-up one is about a similar topic, that's a really effective way to ride that wave of virality. So if you're wondering whether you should post after a long form post is doing really well and you want to ride that wave, make it about a similar topic. And the answer is strong yes. Before we wrap up, Sam was saying he worked over an hour today on a hook. It's good practice. It sounds ridiculous, but if you're going to spend an hour on writing a thread, spend 50 minutes on the hook. It's getting to that level of importance. Now, to drive this home before we move into a quick summary, a weak post is like trying to start a flywheel with, you need a lot of force and momentum to get that initial flywheel moving. That's what your hook is for. All right, putting it all into practice, real world implementation of all 4 concepts. Here are a few examples to see what this looks like. The first concept we spoke about was the iterative engagement economy. Beforehand, I know you guys have done this. I am guilty of it as well. Here's an example. Before, which are dead end replies. Someone comments, this is exactly what I'm struggling with right now. And then you go, glad it resonated, and little yes emoji. That's the opposite of what we spoke about. Keep the conversation going. Ask specific follow-up questions that require more than a yes or no answer. Cross-reference other commenters. You're essentially introducing 2 different people within your comment to keep that conversation going. And then block 30 minutes after posting for active comment engagement. The second thing we spoke about was narrative cohesion score. For example, let's say these are your posts. Email marketing tip number 1, subject lines matter. And then one of your other posts is my favorite morning routine step. Another post is how to use AI tools in 2025. And then another one is book recommendation for entrepreneurs. Where is the common thread in those 4 things? Now, I'm sure there is something, but I can't visibly see it. From an outside perspective, someone's thinking, what is in this person's content for me? And they don't clearly know because it doesn't have narrative cohesion. Instead, try this. Plan threads using a problem solution proof action framework. Use it, number your posts, like the first lesson, the second lesson, the third, to signal a complete experience across multiple posts that are posted throughout a day or a week. Link to and from one another, if they're related, to create that connective tissue. Third, priority input signals. If you're trying to optimize for likes, you might post something like 5 quick tips for better content, post consistently, use hashtags, engage with others, add value, rah, rah, rah. Instead, explicitly tell people to save your content if it's something tactical like a framework or a step-by-step process, and you can literally just ask them directly, ask them to save this. Also, include more substance and detail to increase the dwell time. A long form post will, if it has a good hook and it actually provides value, will have people dwell on it more than a short form post for obvious reasons. Dwell time is telling the algorithm this is valuable and it pushes out to more people. Ask targeted questions that require thoughtful responses. Simplest example of this is you speak about 11 lessons you learned in corporate, and at the end you ask which of the 11 resonated with you. The person takes 5 to 10 seconds to dwell on an answer to that question. And the longer they're spending to dwell on the answer from the algorithm's perspective, this person is spending longer. Imagine what happens when 100 people do that. 1,000 people. 10,000. Last but not least, the carryover effect. An example is your hook. Today, I want to talk about content creation. 1 out of 5. Wait, where is everyone? 2 out of 5. Post unseen by algorithm. It doesn't get anyone to tap on the first post and for them to carry over into the next. It's a shit hook. Instead, lead with a shocking statistic or bold claim in that first post of your thread. Add the notation, so 1 out of 7 or 2 out of 7, to build anticipation for the entire sequence. Make post 1 highly savable to signal value to the algorithm. Each post you want to make carry over to the next, but then as a total content strategy, if you've got a post that's doing really well and you're wondering, should I post another one a few hours later to ride the wave? The answer is yes, but bear in mind that narrative cohesion score. Make it somewhat related. If you've had a viral post about entrepreneurship and then you post something else 3 hours later about your 5 favorite exercises to do on chest day, I wouldn't call that riding the wave. Combining all 4 concepts for maximum impact, algorithmic dominance, not only in 2025, but I'd say right now in May and June in 2025, it's the latest and freshest updates on the algorithm I've seen yet. And if you incorporate all of these, not in isolation, but make them work synergistically as a whole, you'll blow up. This is the blueprint. We've already spoken about what all of these mean. The iterative engagement economy, where you're following up and saying more in the replies, it increases engagement 150% based on this massive report I did. The narrative cohesion score, where you're seeing a clear beginning, middle, and end in the post, and multiple posts about a similar topic, creating a bit of a series, 75% greater algorithmic amplification. The algo loves it. Priority input signals. So when you're saving or dwelling on a post or you're engaging in a lot of conversation quickly, these are direct proxies for value metrics. The algo looks at it and thinks, oh, this is a valuable post. With the carryover effect, just think it's that flywheel. It takes a lot of effort to get that first post to get people's attention. But once you get that momentum going, it gets much easier to get attention on the rest of the posts. Truth about threads in 2025. This is really the key idea from everything we've discussed today, which is more a discussion on what threads has been like in the last almost 2 years and where it's going from middle of 2025 onwards. Initially, when Threads launched, it was just a micro-blogging platform. That's what people refer to it. It's a Twitter killer. Now it's really evolving into a narrative and conversational network because of those 4 insights we've spoken about. I'd encourage you to shift your mindset from just posting content to crafting an experience, a story, a series, and facilitating discussions, connecting not only between you and the person you're replying to, but multiple people who have replied to you, connecting those people. One of our members in Full Circle, Becca, loves Notion, and she's a devout Christian. On one of my posts said, I'm a devout Christian and I love Notion. I thought of Becca, I tagged Becca, I was like, surely you two have to connect. That's the kind of vibes that Threads wants to see. And speaking of the vibes, that's your edge. Like those 4 insights, it says 99 creators on Threads are completely oblivious to. I think that's actually like conservative. I'd say it's 99.9%. These are systems, they're not mysteries. The algorithm isn't some mystical beast. It is some system that we can be understood and leveraged. You don't need to be a victim of the feed. With those 4 insights, you can start creating experiences around it. These are new rules, and it means that we can have new winners who are playing a game that other people don't even know the rules of. That's really what this edge is. Posting consistently is good, but informed posting consistently creates your unfair advantage. A lot of people are still just posting randomly, hoping for that one viral post. It's not just a one-hit wonder or a one-night stand that the algorithm loves. Zuck wants a long-term relationship with you, and he wants to make you have that with your audience. Think about consistently employing these systems over the long term. The difference between good creators and great creators is not talent. It's strategic execution based on understanding the systems. I think I'm an example of that, and many people on this call are as well, because I didn't know anything about any of this when I started a few years ago. But once you start to understand the systems that underlie the platform, then it's about using that understanding to your advantage. And once you do, you're winning. Speaking of winning, very exciting announcement as of an hour ago. We have a paid community called Full Circle. We've given you all of the information about what to do and why you should do it. In a nutshell, Full Circle is the what, the why. Full Circle is the how you actually implement the stuff we've told you by giving you templates, swipe files, AI prompts, and a roadmap, instead of just trying to use these tips and wondering how you can work towards monetization. We have a call with you and give you a tailored and personalized monetization roadmap to take you from where you are now to where you want to go. We offer a free trial as of 2 hours ago, before I made this announcement inside of Full Circle. We would be giving you $500 of resources. Like the moment you join, it's a free coaching session that gives you that growth and monetization roadmap, all of these templates and AI prompts. The cool thing, which I wanted to talk about, was as of an hour ago, I announced this. From next Monday, on Sundays, we are raising the price of Full Circle from $113 to $199 per month, because we're basically giving all of the monthly members the same premium benefits that the annual member had access to, which is daily coaching sessions in the week, as well as what we call post roast, where you hop on a call with us, bring a post, and we give you live feedback. All of that stuff was previously reserved for members who bought the annual plan for $1,400. From June 1, we'll be giving those to all the monthly members as well. What does that mean for you? We have a 7-day free trial. If you want to join Full Circle and get all of this implementation, join before June 1, because the price will be going from $113 per month to $199. If you join before then, you'll get this 7-day free trial. The link is in the chat. If it is not the most valuable free trial that you've ever had, I will tell you to leave, because I haven't done my job properly and it's not the right thing for you. But if it is, open your mind, give it a month, no commitment. I know you'll love it.